Coach, what are your overall thoughts on the game, especially their rebounding edge?
Tough. I think that the game wasn't an indication of how the game was. I think it looks like it was much more, it looks like a real blowout, but I think there was times, I think the free throw that Melina missed, and then they went down and hit a three, I think that was huge. I think that was really like a dagger. But, the concern, like you asked about the free throws, that's a big concern. Giving up 14 offensive and then getting killed on the boards 43-25, that's a big difference. And that's something we're going to have to key in on because we're going to be undersized every game. We don't have a lot of size, and I think some of that lack of rebounding was, LB in foul trouble, sitting out for I think 6 minutes in the first half, and that there was I think 3 or 4 offensive rebounds in that stretch at least, probably more like 6, but I remember 3 distinctively. So we just have to do a better job of working on hitting and getting and just securing those rebounds.
There was one thing that I noticed was that you guys were in position to get the rebounds, but nobody was finding a body to put on.
Or we're just soft on the body instead of really boxing out, and we have to do that. When you're more in the preseason before the Pac-12, when you're more athletic and you can just jump with people, but now we are athletic, but we're undersized, and we're playing the McCalls, and we're playing Chantel Osahars, and we're playing, the bigs from Oregon State, Oregon. We're gonna have to rebound and secure balls to win games. It's a difference in the games.
Was the plan coming in to let them give them the outside as opposed to the inside?
Well, the plan coming in was to, it was scout specific. It was to not guard certain people as tight, and to kind of help and clog the paint, clog areas with McCall, and Sneeznik, she did a good job. We really weren't guarding her a whole lot, and then she made us pay. She hit a couple threes, she had a drive, so that was good. But I think with Stanford, they're so talented, you have to pick and choose, and that's what we decided the strategy, and we decided that's what we chose. And I thought that was really good at times. I thought it really slowed them down. They had trouble getting into their offense, but they're really a well-coached team, and Erica McCall to still have 16 and 19 it's a really solid performance by her.
I think your ball movement at the beginning of the game was phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, when you guys came out, it's just like, wow, that's a new wrinkle. I hadn't seen that in any of the games that I'd covered. That you were just swinging the ball, weak side coming back up over the top in their weave. Was that something that you specifically worked on just for Stanford? Because I didn't see a lot of that for Cal.
No, it's something we work on all the time.
Okay.
It's something we work on every day.
Okay, yeah,
Yesterday we worked on it today. Because the thing is, the reality is, until people really respect us, and they're going to sit and clog in the paint. So I think you saw it sometimes in the game, especially in the second quarter. We kind of settled. We were getting the ball in reversal. The first half, we're moving it, it's flowing. Or the first quarter. Second quarter, it's kind of stood, they're not guarding you, it's easy to bait into a shot, right? So that was, and then we were missing those shots. If Bree and LB would have been hitting those, it really loosens things up. Then people have to guard you. But I was saying after they weren't falling, reverse the ball and pick and pop because then there's no defender.
They were standing around a little bit on the second quarter.
Yeah, and it was just hard, and I think that's kind of the way the games go. So, but you can't come out so great the first quarter. We played great in the first quarter, and then second quarter lose 20-5. That's a big difference. And then they had momentum, but after that we were, besides the second and fourth, we were close.
Was your front line shooting percentage 4 for 13, 3 for 10, 4 of 11? Was that a product of their height, their aggressiveness, or maybe just a bad game shooting wise?
Well, I think it just was a bad game shooting wise. I think that Bree was baited into taking 4 threes. She usually won't take 4 threes. She's capable of hitting the threes, but when they're not falling, that's when we had to move. And it's hard as a player when someone's not guarding you and you've hit those before. You want to hit them, and I think that. LB was really, really working hard inside, but they had so many bodies around her. We never were able to loosen them up. So when she kicked it out, we weren't able to nail shots consistently. So they just stayed packed on her. She had to work, for her points, for her 8 points, she worked really hard. I mean, really hard she didn't have anything easy, every single point. And even Melina driving into the basket, it was hard because the defense was set. So, they made us work, and they're a great team. They're very well coached, and that's you don't expect anything less than Stanford, than this from Stanford. So we just had to keep on doing what we did the first quarter, which is hard to do. That's the difference in between winning and losing.
So you came out kind of on fire. You hit your first 4 shots, and you had 9 points in the first quarter. What was the difference between the first quarter and the rest of the game for you?
I think we started really good the game, and I felt very confident, and then I was more tired, and we started to play more slow, and I think this is very different.
And that's another thing, fatigue, because it's hard to not have shooters on the floor. I think Taryn gave us great minutes, and but it's hard because there's different things we do. So it's going into the bench, and like Lucia, when she's not running the point, it's hard sometimes. And Taryn does a really good job. Taryn came in, but we're working Taryn back in. Taryn's going to be ready, and we're working her back in, but we have to be able to stretch the defense. And I told Lucia, and I tell her all the time, I want Lucia, I want Taryn, Melina, I want them to look for their shots because they'll loosen up LB inside. And I like the fact that she was more aggressive tonight. I told her, you need to do that every night. She needs to have 9, 10, 11, 12 shots because she's one of our best shooters by far.
I noticed, speaking of Taryn, I noticed that she's got the soft brace on as opposed to the hinge brace. So the leg's getting stronger, obviously.
Yeah, her leg it's fine. Her knee feels great. It's the best it's felt for her in many years. So yeah, she doesn't really need to wear a brace in practice. She doesn't wear a brace. Usually it's just a precautionary thing in the games. But she doesn't need a brace. She's feeling good. But she was out for a while, so it's working her back in, getting that rhythm back. But she's going to be fine. She's very important to this team, and she's going to work back in and be ready. And when she's ready and full go back in the swing, because it's hard when you miss a few weeks and we're working on things. The timing is off. So when she's back in, she'll give us that other shooter look. And so she's really, really important.
And same thing with Jalea. She got back in today, but she got 2 quick fouls right away.
Yeah, and a lot of that is like Jalea is another really, really valuable player. She does so many things that you can't teach, and it's just her God-given talent. She's an incredible athlete that can change the game and get to the basket, rebound. But it's another thing, a rhythm. She's been out for a while. She's just working back. So next week when her and Taryn are full in after a week or 2 of practice, they're both going to help a lot.
What were you hoping to get out of Bria Rice tonight, as opposed to the other night when she didn't play?
I was hoping because we were needing to really press, and Bria's our best on the ball defender. She's just so tenacious on defense, and she'd been practicing great. So I knew she deserved a chance to come in the game. I mean, yesterday, if you would watch her practice, she's vocal. She's a freshman. She's getting better every day. So I wanted her to come in and change the rhythm, really put pressure on Schneesnick at the 1. And I think she did that. I think she did a really good job.
And she also has gotten more confident in what she's doing.
Yeah, and she's not trying to.
Noticed talking to her just the other day.
Yeah.
She's changed in a couple of weeks. She's really gained confidence.
Yeah, she is, and one of the reasons why she's gaining confidence, she's putting in extra work every day. So I see it in practice. I see it in just her leadership. She's a lot more sure of the offense, because one of the hardest things as a freshman is to come in and be a point guard and run a team. With a whole new system, and there's 6 seniors, it's hard as a freshman. So I think Lucia, Bria, they've done a really good job. So.
Lucia, when did you think the tide kind of turned in their favor, kind of for good? Was there a key moment in the game? The coach talked about Melena's free throw. Was there another point that maybe you thought?
I think the second quarter, when we lost like 20,
To 5.
I think was the most important moment.
What happened in that second quarter? You guys came out, took the lead going into that second quarter. Second quarter kind of just fell apart. What happened?
Yeah, I think we weren't too much focused on defense. Maybe that 44, maybe that 3s, and we have to be more focused.
Yeah, so little things. And these are little things you think about. Every possession in a game counts. Every single possession from the first to the last. So one free throw offensive rebound you give up, that could be the game. It's the momentum swing, missing a free throw, and it's not only that. Like we were 9 for 16, but then the shift they give it 3, or losing Samuelson 2 times in a row, it's 2 threes. All those things compiled, they're the difference in the game. Missing your layup, missing the assignment. So those little things of the mental focus we have to get better at, and it's a process. But I can say, even with the losses, we are improving in different areas. And you have to know, like, basketball is the run. So what I'm really proud about, and I look at, like, the small victories for us, playing hard all the way through. There may have been times where we missed shots. There may have been times where we didn't execute, but we did everything hard with a sense of urgency, and the effort was there. So that's really important to me. I know I can fix the other things. I know we're going to shoot a lot. We're going to shoot a ton. We're going to get better. We're going to be able to knock down open shots. But the stuff that is harder as a coach, to getting your team to play hard, they're playing hard for me. They're doing the things I ask them. They're executing the game plan. And I'm proud of that and more optimistic about that, because that's hard to do. And you can't, if your team doesn't have that, there is no hope. You're not optimistic. But we have those things. So it's getting more disciplined and learning the small things, learning that this is the difference between winning and losing, learning what winning looks like. That's the part now. It's the next step.
What adjustments did you make? It seems like against Cal, you got stuck on 23, and then you had 23, and you had that 8-minute drought. And it wasn't like we weren't getting good looks. It was just that it wasn't falling. But you called that timeout. What were you telling them just to kind of keep them in the game?
Well, and to not settle, we talked a lot at numerous times about, they were specifically clogging the paint. So for our guards, it's hard if we don't move the side of the floor, if we don't reverse the ball just to drive it, because McCall was sitting there, they were blocking shots. So reversing the ball, getting the post player to have to play post defense, and they're sagging in the paint, we have open pops. But then the hard thing is we got those, we couldn't convert on the shots. So that's hard. That's just a matter of, I can't coach that part. We just got to make those shots. But I think the little things you can control where you're not making those shots is then defensively you can't lose Samuelson, because then if you're giving up the points and not scoring, it's hard. But right now we're pressing pretty much most of the game. So it's tiring, and playing Bree Workman 38 minutes, it's a lot. So then it's hard to have, when we're up in the press, it's hard to have the legs for your three. So some of that stuff I can control with conditioning, but
and their bench outscored you 22-3. They're very deep though.
They're deep,
Very deep.
and they even have an injury right now, so they'll be deeper later. They have a great player, Kylie, that's out. But we don't have a ton of depth, and we're undersized, so that means we got to work harder. We got to make it quicker. I thought in transition, we did a good job. I felt like we had more transition baskets than we have.
There was a point in the second quarter I noticed when Bree, they got a steal and they came back and she defended really well and they didn't score. And then like the next time down, they stole the ball from her, and then they got that quick bucket. And then it seemed like after that was the momentum.
Yeah, the momentum shift there. And those are the things, like we call it erasers. So you go make a mistake, go and play good defense on the other end, that's an eraser. But so many times where we didn't convert, then they scored a few times, or losing Samuelson, or Fingal making those 2 layups. It's those little things are just the tough breakers. Or what I thought we also have to get better at is in our trap in the backcourt. It's the 2 people trapping are working really hard, and it's great. And the ball goes right out. And that's just fatigue not coming up. But that's like, those are things we can fix. But that can't happen, because the trap was really good. I felt like a lot of times they had trouble bringing it up. But then if you're trapping and working so hard, you can't just throw it over top. That's done. So that's the part where we have to move up. But when you're tired, the mental focus is hard. So that's, we got to get better at that stuff.
And it took them a while. I mean, as the game drew on, obviously they were much better at it. But I think you took them out of their system, because they were standing around even partway into the second quarter. They weren't moving. I think they were trying to just force it inside, and it wasn't there.
Well, they were trying to figure out what defense we were in.
Exactly, and you were switching that up. So I mean, that's a credit to you. You were incredible today. I mean, you're over 50% shooting, and and you were spot on your outside shots. It's really gonna.
And 0 turnovers.
Yeah.
Assisted turnover, 2 assists, 0 turnovers. High five. We like that. We've been working on turnovers. That has been we're working on that. So we have improved in that area. So it's just the little things. It's just all those other mental mistakes against good teams. The Pac-12 is the best conference in the country, hands down. It is by far. So the little mistakes are a difference. Like playing 30 minutes of good basketball, which I felt like we've played 20 minutes of good basketball tonight. I felt like we played 30 against Cal. Finding a way to put that 40 minutes together. Finding a way to not have the little mental mistakes. And those are small things, but they're the difference of beating the 21st ranked team in the country, or in the Pac-12 or losing. And there is no game that's easy. So there's not a whole lot of time to take weeks to get better now. It's just make the adjustments, little tweaks, and then on to the next one. So we're not going to get too high or too low.
What are you looking forward to next week when you go on the road?
Looking forward just to bouncing back. how can we bounce back after a tough weekend? We know opening with Cal and Stanford, that's not the optimal weekend I choose. I would have chose a couple different teams to play. But it is what it is. So get better. How do we get better? Keep our confidence up and keep ready. I'm confident in this team, and I would go to battle with anybody in this team. We're going to continue to get better, and that's what's important to me. One game at a time. I don't look ahead to the Pac-12 tournament. I'm looking at one game at a time, and go there and perform well on the road. And I think besides Kansas, we've played well on the road. So finding a way to get that victory after a tough loss shows our character.
Coach, they had 21 assists on 27 shots made, field goals.
Very good.
What do you take away from watching a team operate the way they do? Because ball movement on both sides was fairly well, except they were able to get it inside and out pretty fluid, as opposed to the dribble penetration that you guys.
Yeah, I mean, they're coached by one of the best coaches in the world. She's a tremendous coach. I mean, she almost has 1,000 wins. I hope one day I might be 100 years old. Just kidding. No, she's a great coach. Her team is always really disciplined. They really play scouts. They play certain ways. They force people that don't shoot to shoot. They do those things. So offensively, I knew that they were going to distribute the ball. They don't have one person they pound it into. They all do their roles, and they're put in Tara's system. It's made to exploit someone's strengths. So they're using what they do well. Like McPhee, they're posting her up, running her off stuff to drive and take set shots. So, I mean, they do that well. I didn't expect anything less. And we forced them into 25 three-pointers. Unfortunately, they made 10. They usually average 5.5. But that was kind of one of the risks we were going to take. Ideally, I didn't want Samuelson to get 10 looks, but she did, and she's a great three-point shooter. But I mean, that's just kind of picking our poison. But they're coached well. People were going to touch the ball. They were going to move sides of the floor. But I thought our defense made them think. It slowed them down. They didn't get us in transition, and I think that it did its job, minus the 10 minutes, the few minutes here and there of not knowing the assignments or not knowing personnel, and that's tough. Like not knowing to close out short on someone, but then to close out long on Samuelson. So those kind of things are a difference. Because she hits a few less threes, and it's a different ballgame for momentum shifting especially.
Lauren only playing 10 minutes and nothing in the second half. Was it an injury or just trying different combinations?
No, I think that Destiny was doing a really good job on our press. She was up a lot, and I felt like she was giving us a lot with her length. And it wasn't anything specific. It's just one of those games. Ideally, I'd like to work to get her more minutes, and Deja, usually plays some more minutes, but it was just tough tonight because a few offensive rebounds right away happened when she was in. So it wasn't anything personal. It just wasn't a night that, it wasn't her night. But she's important, and she's going to be needed.
Anything else?
I'm good.
All right.
Good.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.